That's a lie.
No, you like to wave. You learn to wave. Hi, hi.
I told you, I'm a comp beast. I'm a beast. I like to run over people with my car. I'm a beast.
Our hair is this struggling, but it's okay, because that's not what we're here to talk about. We're here to talk about...
Week 4 of Big Brother...
All-Stars?
So, with Christmas winning the HOH... Ow. Christmas won HOH.
So, Labor Day...
Don't make the same mistake.
So anyways, Labor Day won HOH, as in she didn't win, but actually,
Davon.
in all seriousness, Davon lost. Christmas didn't do anything, and you can explain how that happened, because she did not do anything, and that's also why I don't even like this competition.
Just like last season, or not last season, her last season, season 19, the only competition she ever won was one that was handed to her when she had a broken foot, and it was the exact same competition as this veto coming up. But basically, Davon rang in first incorrectly, so Christmas won by default.
Yeah, but what really happened was that no one called on Christmas until the
entire
last
time
two.
also.
And
Davon was called up the most times.
Every time she had to win every freaking time, and she did. And then because she hit the wrong button, Christmas just stood there. She even just stood there the one before, just stood there. Mm-hmm. And that person happened to be wrong, so she won. That's not winning, but, you know, whatever. Yeah. She said it's good to be queen.
And Enzo was hyping
queen
her up
of again. What? Queen of what?
Queen of felonies.
That part. Anyways.
Queen of bullying. Queen of being the representation of season 19. What a great representation. A pile of... Yep. Moving on.
Anyways, so Halloween... She got that HOH, and let's hear what she did with it. What did she do with it?
She was pretty dead set on nominating Bailey and Davon, as she was probably going... Whoever won in the committee alliance was probably going to nominate Bailey and Davon anyway, because they are a big threat, because no one really knows like where their true allegiance lies, because they're all fake aligned with everyone. I said on that already. I guess, I don't know exactly when the conversation about the untouchables was. I don't know if that was...
She made it sound like it was the night before she won HOH. But I don't know.
Yeah, I think it was before she won HOH.
It was
before she won HOH. Bailey went up to her saying, you know, having conversation because they exchanged, you know, game information. They weren't technically aligned, but they were confiding in each other for
Bailey
a few weeks
was
before.
considering trying to pull her in because the read on Christmas isn't the best from some people, and they think she's on the outs when she is in reality.
She's very good at playing like she's just not aligned.
But
I will give her that.
She's very aligned. I mean, Tyler is her untouchable.
Yeah. We're going to say final two from now on, because I don't like that word.
Because I can't do that word, but that's the word of the day, the word of the week. Stop trying to make untouchable happen. It's not going to happen.
So, that conversation happened before HOH, and Christmas,
she thought real hard about that being her reasoning.
She acts
would go with it.
She acts all flustered, saying, "Oh, I don't know what to do with this information," which really wasn't that pertinent of information. It was pretty obvious anyways. I guess Davon and Bailey are the only confirmed couples in the house, even though
how many wall yellers?
Tyler and Christmas, Nicole with Ian, Cody, and Danny. You know, there are plenty of other couples, mainly with Nicole. Nicole has 3 different people she's
and the wall yellers have called it out, so it's been put out in the open like that. It's already pretty obvious. If they don't see it, I really don't see how they don't at least slightly see it. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, I don't.
I feel like Christmas is kind of hiding behind the fact that her alliance wanted to do this.
When she wanted to do it.
You can then. She doesn't want to say, like, oh, I'm part of Alliance and this is what we wanted. We heard that you were coming after. She used that game conversation against Bailey. And
that personal conversation, and used it as game, and then tried to say, there's no such thing as personal and game personal.
Yeah, we can't get into that yet, though.
No, but that's her
That was her
reasoning.
Idea. And she looped Davon...
That's what she's going with.
Yeah, she looped Davon into that, saying, like, oh, whoever Bailey mentioned as her untouchable was going to be nominated next to her. Never saying exactly why Bailey needed to be put up in the first place, though.
And then, she really tried to pull those tears out because she knows how the editing's going to work. And if she didn't You know, she's a cry victim.
Well, no, we need to talk about the nomination first. So basically, Christmas exposes that conversation in front of everyone in the nomination ceremony, saying, Bailey came to me, told me Davon was her untouchable. Davon is just a casualty in this affair with Bailey. And Davon said during the nomination speech, so the whole reason you nominated me is because Bailey dropped my name.
She said, yeah, sure. Oh, okay.
Meaning, you're stupid for doing that, and that's a stupid reason. So, after the nomination ceremony, Christmas runs up to the HOH room, like Tyler advised.
You better run and hide.
You better run and lock that door because, they're gonna
explode. And you want to know what Christmas said about all that? What did Christmas say?
She said something along the lines of, I feel like I'm gonna get stabbed.
No, first she said, I feel like I'm gonna get shot. Mm-hmm. They're gonna shoot me. And mind you, she wasn't joking.
No, she was dead serious.
Also, mind you, this is the only person in the house
who's a convicted felon.
For assault.
Thank God.
Yeah, I mean, once a felon, always a felon. What are you gonna do? Hey. Hey. So besides also saying, I'm afraid she's gonna shoot me, she then continues to say, or stab me with a fork in the eye. Like,
making a lot of, like, weird claims of, like, they're gonna threaten me or they're gonna be violent or whatever. Even if it wasn't with that intent, it's still, you're saying that she should have been more careful about what she was saying, in my opinion.
Mean, it was completely out of line, inappropriate, and honestly kind of disgusting, but what would you expect from Valentine's Day?
Yeah.
Nothing less.
So basically, Bailey and Davon were being marked as pairs the minute they walked in the house. They did not know each other outside of Twitter interactions until they walked into the house. Yet we have people like Cody and Nicole, who were on a whole season together, have an outside relationship due to Polly and their little thing. Yeah. You have Ian and Nicole also, who have an outside sort of relationship. Danny and Nicole, who are best friends in real life, and, they definitely pre-gamed with Cody. And then you have Memphis and Cody also pre-gaming. Mm-hmm. But then you have the only pair, I believe, that wasn't a pre-game. Except for Ian and Nicole, maybe.
No, but I think
it wasn't ever solidified that they had a final two until they got in the house. But they had a pre-existing relationship.
Yeah, and they'd
spoken. Okay, that's a better way. The only pre-existing relationship, not pre-existing relationship that was created in the house was Day and Bay. And they are immediately put together because they're two black women. They're the two black women, and they happen to click very quickly compared to other people.
And then they are targeted because
they were already being marked as a duo before week one.
They could have not even talked to each other much.
They weren't.
And
they weren't talking to each other.
They were considered like a duo anyways.
Mm-hmm.
I know, you like to wave. You learn to wave. Hi. Anyways. So there's all that going on. So
then Christmas goes up to the HOH and immediately has, I believe, Tyler, Cody, Kevin going up to comfort her because it's so hard to nominate two people.
I mean, it's so hard to be safe and have all the power in the house.
The only reason it was hard on her is because she knew she was backstabbing Bailey. Let's just be real. Like,
she knew she was wrong. She knew she was in the wrong.
You can't make moves and then be...
Like, own that shit.
Own it. Like, do a Dr. Will and say, everyone has to leave eventually.
It's your turn, boo.
You're, as Danielle Reyes would say, one down, however many else to go. It's a game, but that situation was just handled really weird. And, the excuse and hypocrisy of Christmas. So let's get into the hypocrisy. Mm-hmm. Immediately after the nomination ceremony, Bailey and Davon both went up and had private conversations with her. And, Christmas was cool with them. She was like, you want some hard kombucha? Do you want some tea? Let's have a conversation. No, I don't want your
kombucha with extra alcohol in it. That is nasty. I drink regular kombucha. I'm not trying to get drunk off kombucha.
Also, just a side comment. Christmas was saying the week before to Danny, Bailey's always going up to the HOH room and stealing their basket. And then she offers her a drink from her basket.
And then she's probably going to be like, she just wanted a drink from my basket.
Yeah.
Just like she stole Janelle's jacket, you know, Danny. Danny's
yeah,
like,
why is that such a big deal? They're so like annoyed by Janelle
because they are so jealous and so hateful that anything that involves her is a problem too. So there's that. But
so Bailey's conversation went along the lines of, you know, good game move. I'm not necessarily hurt. I just kind of don't understand why you nominated me when we had, I thought, a mutual understanding of we would share game information. And then Christmas saying,
no,
well,
we never said that.
We never had a fictional alliance. It was always you coming up to me. I'm like, clearly she was offering some sort of thing to be pulled into. Like, even if she didn't even have to be faithful to it. But, like, why even, like, act like you weren't being pulled into something?
Like, don't... She's like, we barely talked. We barely talked. No, maybe you barely talked, but you could tell, and Bailey has admitted, and Davon has said it, that she thought of Christmas as a real friend. And someone she wanted to work with and be friends with in that house. Why are you banging your head on me? Okay. So yeah, so that was just, I mean, it's just basically, she felt like she got backstabbed by a friend. Like, game-wise, she's not, like, you know, obviously it sucks, but it wasn't about, like, necessarily like, oh, I'm losing the game. It was more about, okay, well, I just didn't think you'd be the one to do it and to do it in that way. You know, that was more the case. And Christmas just could not accept that, because if she accepted that, then that would mean that she did something that wasn't so nice or was wrong, and she's not gonna allow that to be truth.
The reason that I'm upset with Christmas, not even upset, more just like she needs to own what she's doing. If she owned 100% what she was doing, I wouldn't be as upset as I am. I would obviously be disappointed that Bailey and Davon were on the block, but I would at least respect Christmas more. The problem I had with Christmas was she says, like, oh, I have said nothing bad about Bailey. You know, I want her to win a head of household. She even said in the episode, the nomination episode, you know, in a weird moment of levity, you get to compete in a veto. Yeah, that's how it works. People who are nominated compete in what? Like, what even kind of...
like, what are you talking about? What are you trying to judge? Like...
President's Day was just having a little bit of a...
Like, Flag Day was confused.
She was like, oh no, what can I say to get Bailey to not hate me? Oh, at least you get to compete in a veto.
No, she's like, yeah.
She's like, yeah, great.
She's like, this hard kombucha
That would be like saying, like, oh, we're just sending you out, Janelle, but at least you might be able to compete in a battle back.
Like,
okay.
Thanks. Like, no.
So
just overall, just like handled so poorly.
The hypocrisy was stronger with the conversation with Davon, because Davon and her conversation, they were both very, you know, they didn't, you know, get upset, which they had every right to be upset if they were, but they were very calm and collected. Christmas cried more than them.
Oh my God. The fake waterworks were just ridiculous.
Even if they were real, I'm like, why are they real? Like,
what
clearly you should
have just, this is what you want to do.
You nominated them. Own what you did. Don't like complain about it and say, oh, this is so much weight on me.
She's like, this is just like so messed up. Like someone made her do it. Like she was forced to do it.
She was by her alliance,
but
because
not
it
really.
was better for her alliance. I'm like, it's your HOH. Do what you want to do.
And honestly,
it didn't even.
You're on the bottom of the totem pole of your alliance.
They're keeping you around to explode.
Using you. That's don't actually want to really work with you.
They're keeping you around because they know you're going to win competitions and because you're going to explode on people.
Well, wait till she breaks her leg and then she won't win competitions.
Oh no, she still will, because they'll hand them to her anyway. So Davon's conversation was basically along the lines of, you know, I want you to stay here. I want you to be able to see your son's photos in your HOH
Oh my God, trying to pull the mom card.
You to be, you know, our sons are going to be able to see each other.
They can be cousins. I was like, girl, what are you talking about? You're taking this way too far. And Davon was playing the game, and she was like...
Davon was like, oh my God, absolutely. Can I hug you? Like, because Davon knows how to be fake to people to get them...
She has to.
She plays it off the best, I think, out of everyone. Danny, you can tell 100%. Cody, you can tell 100%. Christmas is pretty good at playing it off
because
up until
she's just
this
like
week.
Soulless, you know.
Yeah, she's like Janelle in that way of she doesn't front any emotions really. The only time I've ever seen her have emotions, was crying about her son, like, the first week, I think.
That's all she cries,
Loyal.
Yeah, she named her son after what her baby daddy couldn't be.
Yeah.
Doesn't make any sense. Doesn't make any sense. I don't get it.
So that conversation happened, and of course Bailey and Davon were upset with Christmas, but not 100% like shutting her out. They were upset about the fact of why they were put up.
Yes, not that they were
not
put
that
up.
they were put up.
I mean, they didn't love it, but like that's not what the issue was.
Yeah, Davon said it wasn't the fact that we were put up together that bothered me.
We knew that would happen.
We knew it would happen eventually, just not this early. It came from Christmas instead of someone like Cody, someone like Danny. Like, it came from Christmas. Someone that Bailey was confiding in for the whole game almost. They were in the same bedroom together.
Yeah, they were like little bunk buddies.
So, and now Christmas has to sleep next to one of them. Because that's going to be the open bed. So that'll be interesting. But I guess
that'll be different.
They've smoothed things over.
Yeah.
In the game. Not clearly there's still going to be feelings there.
I think things will be a lot different when you get out the house and you watch everything.
Oh, yeah. I mean, Davon was... her beef with Nicole really stemmed from what she heard about her saying throughout the season about stuff along the lines of, I believe... like personal attacks on her.
That's what she said.
It wasn't game related.
Yeah.
So basically, moving on to what?
Well, we can touch on the Ian thing because let's talk about the edits for one. They did not really show much of what really happened this past week, and one of the things they barely showed was the Ian being sick and not participating in the veto competition.
It was like a 5-minute segment of Ian being in bed, him
and
saying he has a headache.
saying he doesn't feel good. No, he was like sick, like he was like up getting like medical attention.
Yeah, he was seeing the nurse in the diary room, like, and he needed like medical attention.
And so he
didn't have to leave
him
the house.
Not to play.
Yeah, he didn't have to leave the house, and I believe it wasn't even his decision to not play. I think production said like you can't. Or he wasn't cleared to play.
Yeah. But, so why wasn't he replaced?
Yeah,
why just make it even less of an, like, option for somebody to win? You know what I mean? I don't know. It just didn't make sense to me. Obviously, if you can't do it, like, you pick another name out the hat. Like, there was enough spaces for that many
so the example
I
was saying was, I believe the only other person that's ever sat out of a veto because they weren't cleared medically was Jocasta in season 16, and it wasn't for Battle of the Block. I think it was because she competed in Battle of the Block.
I think it was veto.
It was for veto.
The same idea.
She got to, I believe, pick someone to play for her, or someone like volunteered to play for her, Donnie. And Donnie ended up winning the veto and using it on Jocasta. Mm-hmm. Now, my question is, why wasn't that a situation mentioned at all? It's because Ian wasn't nominated. So let's just take them out, I guess. I don't know.
It just doesn't make sense. But they're doing a lot of things this season that doesn't make sense. Like, we can talk about the Tyler situation and the new rules they brought into play for that.
Well, first let's talk about Danny finding out about Tyler throwing her under the bus about coming after Bay and Day from Davon. So
this
Tyler,
is after they've been nominated and
so let's be
veto.
100% transparent. Bay and Day and Danny have been talking about going after each other probably since like week 2. Mm-hmm. They had mentioned it. They had said,
it's been around the house.
It's been around the house and it's been talked about. They both are kind of lying about throwing each other's names out to kind of smooth things over. But, which I think is fine if they're both lying about it.
Yeah.
I would be upset if Davon came clean and then Danny didn't.
Which could have easily happened.
I think they know if they come clean that they'll just like be on opposite sides, so they're both keeping it to themselves for now.
Yeah, because I think were, at least in a way, kind of really considering bearing the hatchet for the moment. I don't think for the long haul, but for the moment.
They're more upset with Tyler. Tyler was the main person who did it. Cody kind of went along with whatever David was talking about. The situation where David said, Tyler told me you guys had wanted to get me out. So that kind of connects to that. And Tyler was telling Danny and Davon and Bailey that the opposite side was coming after them to keep him safe in the middle and to have them.
I mean, Tai knows what he's doing.
He does know it was working until Davon went up to Danny because they kind of figured something was going on because the boys hadn't really been doing anything. It's all been the girls really doing a lot of game work this week, which is intentional. Tyler's really the only guy that's been involved in any of the talk.
And he is a different... I mean, he's still trying to go for a similar game that he played the first time, but, I mean, we can touch on just his whole situation, and really, he's not right. Something's off with him, in general.
Well, to finish off the previous thing real quick, so Danny and Davon smooth things over, and they agreed to work together. Danny, Davon, Nicole, and possibly Christmas for now. I think Davon and Christmas are gonna, bury this moment for now and just kind of because they need the numbers and they need to stick with the women and they're gonna move forward.
Depends on who wins HOH.
But whoever wins HOH, it could very well be Davon. She will absolutely nominate Christmas in a heartbeat, and probably and she might turn on Danny too.
I wouldn't be surprised, but she might try to save one of them.
It wouldn't be smart to turn on both.
Need to have one more. But
so the Tyler situation.
This is I'm gonna let you explain it, even though you've been explaining a lot, but because this is an emotional one for me. I have strong feelings about the whole situation. Mm-hmm. So Tai and his curls.
So to talk about the whole situation, Tyler has been feeling.
Well, actually, from the jump,
from the beginning,
Tyler didn't want to come on the show originally, and whoever production, his own mind, Angela, convinced him to do it. So, and then when Casey wasn't there, I think that was bothersome.
No. I feel like
he was thrown off from that, though, I think.
Yeah. So, from the jump, Tyler wanted to do Big Brother only if Angela or Casey was going to be there. And he was under the impression that Casey was going to be there. And when she wasn't, that threw him off. And everyone in the house noticed it. Because even from night one, he was very kind of isolating himself and not like...
Like, he was kind of like...
He was trying to, like, adjust to the fact that he had built up a strategy in his head coming into the game with Casey, and now he has to take a step back. He doesn't know anyone here really except for Bailey, who they have drama with outside of the house.
But they tried to bury that when he was HOH right away, and they kind of sat there and said that they did, which I feel like they've forgotten about since. But they did. Like, she was like, yeah, no, we're cool, we're good. He's like, yeah, I know, we're good. I remember them having that conversation because she was on Slap and she was like, so how you feeling? She was like, I just need to rest and whatever.
Yeah, so entire game, he's kind of fell off compared to season 20.
In general, if you but also if you watch Tyler on his season, anything that has happened, he doesn't like when things don't go his way.
Yeah,
and so I think not seeing Casey was sort of
a very
not
big
going his
blow
way,
to him.
And so he had to like find a way to be like, hey, I'm still gonna play, and I'm not gonna get upset and like make a hissy fit about it. I had to just like get it going. But I think also that was sort of how people got him to agree to come when he didn't want to come, was sort of under the assumption that, well, unless something happens, we're gonna get your partner in there for you. Like, that's the plan. So then he was like, all right, I can do it then. And then when she wasn't there, he was kind of like, and Tyler doesn't do well with that, so we got to see that for sure. He tried to hide it. I mean, I don't think he's super expressive in general. I haven't felt that about him, but you could tell he was different. If you've watched his season, you could tell he had a different demeanor about him. I can kind of relate it to the Danielle Dick situation on season 13, where Danielle and Dick obviously knew that they were both going to be coming and playing as a team, but as much of an effect that would have had on both of them, they at least knew that they would have a solid person in the house with them. And when Dick left, it was obviously a different situation because Dick was still in the house for a little bit, like a few days. Yeah, a few days. It wasn't even like a week. And he medically had to leave. Or so. And so everything changed for her. Because she came in with 2 other pairs. And that was she had a similar situation kind of happen where like... But she adjusted, I think, in a way almost not better, because I'd say Tyler still, if he didn't have the situation that we're about to talk about, has this mist with people and he plays a great game. And Tyler is still playing a great game. I think he's just mentally himself. He doesn't feel like he is. He's not in it, even though it's still working. So basically, he had mentioned it only to David, I believe, back like last week or a week before.
Recently it's come out more to
week.
everyone else that he's been struggling. I think it might have been after the blow up or right before the blow up.
Right around it, yeah.
So Tyler basically was having talks with production.
Supposedly every time there's been a wall yeller and they've cut feeds and shut stuff down and moved people into rooms and, kind of like shut things down, he's basically said like to production, like threatening to leave and wanting to leave. He's not having it. And it's happened more than once. And he even, like you said, talked to David recently, a week and a half ago, maybe this last week, but it was recent. And he was just saying like, man, like, I don't really want to be here. Like, I want to go home. Dave's like, okay. And he's like, no, like, I really don't. Like, I don't like to be known for being a good liar and a cheater, and I don't like crushing people's dreams, man. And then he went on this whole feminist tangent about, it was like he was woke to, women's right. He's going through a lot mentally, clearly, and I can be upset about other things, but I do think that is a real thing.
I think,
and being in the house isn't helping him.
I think his struggle is he doesn't want to come off as he's attacking women in the game. He's attacking, certain people in the game, and he has a reputation of going about it in a very bad way. That's just the way he decided to play the game, which can be respected.
And it's worked
very
well.
For him, he mentally does not feel okay with doing that, and his actions are kind of coming up to the surface in this game, and he wants to kind of change
rectify it.
Especially, we need to mention, before he did what we're about to discuss. Yeah. He was gaslighting Bailey, because Bailey was exploding about the Danny.
And I would like to touch on the fact that, if no one remembers, I will remind everyone that before Tangela existed, there was this, he had a little crush on Bailey. And there was some animosity with that and some weird tension with those feelings for him. And then when they had their issue on their season as well, then there was that. And then he complains that he had to get off Twitter because of the amount of hate that he got for the situation with Bailey and how he treated Bailey, which he has admitted wasn't right, game or not. He took it a little it just wasn't right, and he isn't proud of that. And I do believe him, but at the same time, I don't know. It's really hard with him. I just feel like he tries to come across like he's a good person, and maybe part of him wants to be a good person. We only know what we know. I obviously don't know the person, but there's a lot of things that he does and says, and even actions that we will speak of, that just makes me go, that's not a good person.
Yeah. So let's try to finish what we're saying, and then we can move on to the situation. Basically, Tyler was gaslighting Bailey to other people, saying, Bailey blew up last on my season.
Game-wise, not a terrible move to do that.
Personally, though. Especially after you buried the hatchet with someone.
Then it was wrong.
For the exact same reason.
I was a little surprised.
telling Enzo, telling Cody, Bailey's going to explode, it's going to be a big thing. And she really wasn't exploding, she was just more upset. And she was upset about the Danny situation, where Bailey approached Danny saying, I heard that you were coming after us directly. And this was before Danny's conversation with Davon. Mm-hmm. And Danny denied it, and then Enzo walked in, and Enzo confirmed it. And Bailey was like,
so I don't really... Yo, I don't know, but yeah.
Yeah, so...
And I gotta go, bro.
So Bailey knew about that, and was upset. And also, we forgot to mention, the situation basically, with the last week with the wall yellers, after that happened, Ian was having a conversation with Bailey, where they both were talking about, who they wanted out. Not Davon. Ian was having conversation saying, now I don't know if I trust Nicole, and he had a conversation with Tyler saying, we need to make sure our number ones in this game are actually good, because we don't want shit to go down and us be looking like fools. So
yeah,
that whole situation happened, and then Ian turned it around 100%, said he never threw Nicole's name out, which he did to Bailey. And Bailey just kind of ate it. He just
repeated his past action.
Bailey just never cared to expose Ian. She may at the eviction.
I would love to see it.
I would too, but I think she wants Ian to kind of take out the people instead of
ruin him too. I don't know.
So then we can move on to, so that's why Bailey was upset, and then even more upset after Tyler was gaslighting her.
Because it was just like, I thought we were
He was
good
becoming
now.
super malicious, and it was his tonal shift from
it was not cute.
From that, like the gaslighting, to then him being super isolated, not really talking to people, being super depressed, and like clearly not in the game.
And I just loved how on this episode the edit was, he looks skinny. Yeah, he's lost a lot of weight. I don't think he's okay. Like, first of all, in the feeds, the weight was not a thing. Like, maybe it's a thing, you know, whatever. But that's not what they were talking about. They turned it into, he just looks sad and he's losing weight and he's sad. Like, they made it seem a lot different than what I believe the situation was. I do believe he was sad. Maybe he's lost weight from that, not from that, whatever. But I just feel like they made it a completely different conversation and what it really was.
That's what they do.
I know, but like I was like, what?
It's
why?
just irritating to see.
I was surprised when they were talking about him being skinny because I was like, that's like kind of irrelevant to him being sad at the moment. And
well, I mean, it could say like he's having like an effect on him mentally and physically. Like he maybe not be able to sleep, not be able to eat, which means he could be losing weight.
Yeah, or you know, he was on slop right before this.
True.
They don't have enough of the good.
I think they just kind of included that.
They don't have Angela's cookbook in the house, and he can't make Angela's vegan food, so he's not eating as well. I don't know.
So I think they just included that on top of everything else, just to make it 100% so you feel sympathy for Tyler, which, I mean, Grodner controlling the narrative, I can understand. Her son.
Yeah, I don't think that's her son, but that's.
No, he's clearly not. But
I mean,
it's a joke because
their
hair is the same, and she has such a big love for him.
Hard on for him, and she's had hard on for other people, but she definitely Ty. That's her little boy. She's that's her. That's the star of the show. Like I don't even think she. I don't know what she would do if he left before like final 3. Like I think she wouldn't allow it, which they have the right to actually step in and do things, but I really don't think she would. I think if he's nominated, it's like all hell will break loose and the feeds will cut and she will come down and she will have word with whoever nominated him and anyone that's voting, and we can't do that because he's the star of our show. Like I don't know. I just think it shows that it's
Anyways. Now we'll finally move to the situation that happened with Tyler. Tyler was talking with Devon in the backyard and approached her with a conversation saying, you know, can I pull you and Bailey into a room for a second and talk with you guys? And he, with his glasses on and
his America bandana,
not any energy at all, very straight shooting, very like forward in what he was saying.
Very
basically
serious.
Was alluding to the fact of, I feel like I am not being a person that I want to be in this game. I don't want people to look up to what I am doing in this game.
I'm not proud of it.
Yeah, I don't want to not be an ally for you in this game and in the outside world.
That part.
Alluding to Black Lives Matter. And for the bigger cause of why
he said, you guys really want to be here, and you want to be here for a reason that is bigger than me.
Devon, Bailey, even Kaser, and David have all talked about a main reason why they're back is for what's happening in the world with representation.
Just representation that needs to be there in the history of it in general.
There haven't been 3 black house guests in the same house since season 13, and even then, 2 of them were evicted pre-jury.
Just absolutely ridiculous, but yeah.
So, I can understand that reasoning from Tyler saying that he might feel guilty that two of the people of color in the house are nominated, mostly because of him, because of his situation of
his
spinning
influence
Bailey
on
that
the committee.
Yeah,
is that what they call themselves? I don't know. That group, because they never talk like that, so it's hard to
him putting influence in on the committee, him being aligned with Christmas, his final 2,
his Casey,
he
had to find one.
He really pushed, you know, people going after Bailey and Devon because he, in his mind, it's the same situation with Nicole and Devon. They will not personally go after each other, but they are fine evicting them if they are nominated by someone else. So it's not about getting them out directly; it's about planting seeds for people to take them out eventually.
And to just it off of him and keep it going in a different direction where it's going to cause a catalyst of I go for you and you come for me and my people, and then he can just sit back and watch it all happen and reap the benefits of being on the outside, which is totally game fine, except for the fact that he had already said he wanted to mend things with Bailey and that aspect. So him going and then doing that behind her back, and then also just sort of engaging in conversations that were not flattering towards Bailey or Devon, just sort of was like, I can see why you might be struggling with not feeling great, because you're not making the best decisions based on what you say you want to change. And they definitely they made it seem like it was a sort of much more of a casual conversation and not super deep, whereas he was very emotional and they didn't even bring up the fact that he said, well, if I'm either gonna get her to use the veto or I'm gonna leave. I will call a meeting and I will like blow up everything. Like, I'm leaving. I am leaving one way or the other. I would rather do it helping you. This is what I want to do. I want to help you with the cause, and everyone knows what they're.
I know no one ever throws you guys
a bone
or a life vest in this game,
and I
want to do that for you guys because I feel like I should, and I feel horrible, and I want to make it up to you guys and save you, because you deserve to be here more than I do when I do not feel like I am stable enough to be here.
And so, and they were like to the point where like they showed it a little bit, but like they got emotional. Like, no one does that for us. Like, they were even like, are you sure you don't have to do it? And Devon had even had a conversation later with Kevin after this all happened and other things happened, and she said, I did not believe him. I didn't believe him until he brought up the cause. And when he said that, I said, there is no way that someone will bring that up if they don't mean it. That's kind of like, that's sick. And it is. To me, I was saying to him when it was going down, I was
we were reading about this.
Like,
as it was happening, we were reading the conversations, and we were both saying, if this is used as game, that might be like the lowest
that
someone's ever gone in the game.
And like, if he thought Twitter hated him before, my God.
Which I think he
what
knew.
Are you
so
doing?
he knew, like,
I think that
he was being true with his intentions.
I
just
don't know.
came off.
I think that he wanted to go.
I
think he wanted to go, and then I think he did start to feel guilty, and then I think he saw an opportunity to look better and go in a right way, and he went for that. But he made the promise before he talked to production, before he talked to Christmas, before he was really able to promise it. It didn't show it on the episode, but he promised it like, no, that's what's happening. Whether it happens the way I want it to and I help you, or I leave, I'm leaving. I'm done. Like, I'm not doing it. I want to do it in a way to help you, but can't talk me out of it. I'm done. So then he goes up to talk to Christmas, and that's a 3-hour conversation, which they cut the feeds, or they had it on different cameras. We didn't get to see it. They show a very minimal glimpse of it. Still same. And apparently Grodner had to come down. Production had to talk to him.
Really quick. I just want to say my whole issue with Tyler was like what Jen mentioned before, of him promising something he has no control over.
And
he giving Devon and Bailey false hope to stay, knowing for a fact that it killed them being nominated together. And Bailey felt responsible because she threw out Devon's name to Christmas, and Devon understood but was still hurt that they were both nominated. And my issue was, clearly Tyler was using this situation as a way of getting himself out of the game. He's saying, instead of just walking out, I can use this situation as I will be put up on the block. They both can stay, instead of one of them leaving.
Because I don't want to be here anyways.
Them leaving after me if I walk out the door. Go out in a eviction like normal on the show. They both can stay in. I will feel better about my situation with Bailey, and I can feel better about the cause.
And I can feel better about how I left.
I
got what I wanted.
Which I can understand. I don't think he was waiting for a moment like this. I think he just kind of
saw
the moment, and it came together in the right moment for him to choose.
But it was, and yes, he never said Black Lives Matter. He never used the terminology.
No,
to
but
that
he was
extent.
going.
He insinuated
saying everything except for that.
And he was going in about it. Like, they really made sure he meant that, and they were like, "Are you sure? No, you don't have to do that. Like, it's okay." Wow, like, okay, like, it was not a 5-minute conversation. I mean, obviously, but it was not a short conversation. He just looks like almost zoned out in the conversation with them and with Christmas. He was emotional. He was passionate about what he was saying and how he felt. And it was to the point where it was like, this is a person that you cannot talk off the ledge. Like, they have made up their mind and they're going to do it the way they're going to do it.
They've already taken a step off the cliff, and they're saying, like, you can either let me or you can try and pull me back, but I'm still going to do it anyways. Yeah. So what was I about to say? Oh my gosh.
Him talking to Bailey and Devon. Him bringing up the movement.
I think we've covered most of that. So then, the conversation with Christmas, basically...
We don't know the full extent, but he was up there for 3 hours.
Going off of what was shown, I can kind of piece together because he basically said... I believe he was talking with production before he went in with Christmas and after.
So. Yeah, after for sure.
But Grodner was called down after the conversation with Christmas.
She was Captain Save-A-Ho.
Mm-hmm.
Not my baby.
Tyler.
You're grounded. You can't leave.
Grodner annoys me. But anyway, Tyler was basically saying to Christmas, you're going to use the veto. I'm going to call a house meeting after. I'm going to expose everything. I'm going to tell everyone to evict me, and I'm going to leave. And that's how it's going to go. And Christmas...
You can't stop me.
Christmas immediately, after hearing that, knew in her mind she was never going to do that. Despite what she says to Tyler, despite what she says to Davon and Bailey, to the DR, she was never going to do that.
Never.
Because
it was not an option.
From her perspective, why would you? Like, that's your final two.
Why would you? Because if you care about that person as a person and you know that they're not right and this is how they want to leave...
But that fucks over your game.
Who cares?
Sure.
A person's mental health is more important than the game.
He can walk out at any time, though.
But he feels that he can't, and production has basically told him he can't because if he can't...
It's against the rules.
It's against the rule. Well, that's not true. But also, he loses any relationship with CBS and
integrity of the game.
Yeah, so... Which he never wanted to do it that way. That's not his personality, but he was willing to until he was talked to by production and really shown, like, you're not getting your $40,000. You can't come back. You want to go on Survivor? Not gonna happen.
You're not gonna be on the finale. You're not gonna be on any part of the season after this.
Like, you're
completely shunned. That's it.
Twitter's gonna hate you even more. Like, who knows what they were saying?
Saying everything to get him to stay.
To convince him.
Christmas basically had a conversation, and towards the end of the conversation was saying, we are in such a good spot in this house. I cannot have you leave. And Tyler was just kind of, I mean, after being berated with all of these things from production and from Christmas, probably changed his mind.
I don't even know if it changed his mind. I think he was just so broken down. He was just like, he gave up. Like, he's like, okay, I'm staying. Yeah. Like, I really do. And then things changed with later conversations and a good night's sleep and maybe talking to Tangela. I mean, they're Tangela talking to Angela. I don't know.
I don't think that happened.
I really do.
But I doubt it. Maybe.
Grodner really be loving her permy friend.
But if that is true, I don't think that's true.
I think it's true. I don't know. Doesn't matter. But I can't prove that. I don't know.
Here's why I don't think it's true. If it is true, it's fucked up on Big Brother's part to allow Tyler to call Angela and not Cody to talk to his family after his situation.
Yes, but
I don't think that's why I don't think it's true.
We know who's more of a favorite.
It doesn't matter. Tyler's situation compared to Cody's situation is completely different.
Yeah, but they don't really... They do stuff that doesn't make sense like that, so I don't...
It could be true, but
if it is true, and no one else is going to know but Tyler.
It's fucked up on their part. And I don't think it's fair.
They're doing a lot of effed up things on their part, but yeah.
So... Then we go on to...
But basically how it supposedly ended that night after all the production and talking to Christmas is that she said, I'm going to let you sleep on it. I'm going to sleep on it. You're going to sleep on it. We'll talk in the morning. And then they went to talk in the morning and she basically supposedly said, I'm not going to do it. You're staying in this game. Angela gets you for the rest of her life. You can stay here for a couple months with me. Like she was, and he was just sort of like, okay. He just sort of went with it. And then what turned him back onto like game mode was basically when Christmas decided to try. I mean, you can explain what she said about Bailey.
With what?
She said that Bailey supposedly was down to backdoor Tyler or vote Tyler out based on a conversation with Kaser when Kaser was already leaving the house and had no pull in the house anyway. Supposedly Bailey said, sure, I would do that. And so now he thinks, oh, she never was going to bury the hatchet with me, and she was, you know, so she fucked me over too, or like,
I don't know.
We're back to even. I don't need to do something nice for her. I don't know if.
Yeah, I don't know the extent of the conversation that was had, but Bailey mentioned something about either being fine with backdooring Tyler, voting Tyler out. Christmas relayed that information to Tyler to convince him. It was 100% to convince him to stay and target Bailey. And it worked for the time being.
It worked.
So Tyler,
he believes it in a way. I think. I don't think he knows what to do or believe right now.
So we need to talk about the veto really quick because we completely skipped over that.
There's that whole part. Where
Christmas won the veto, but like
in the competition that was thrown to her with a broken leg before. But it wasn't.
And it almost was. It was almost thrown to her again by Nicole.
That part.
It seemed like it.
She was willing to. She asked her, "So do you want it?" Let's just play for it, because Chris was like, no.
It just looks weird when you ask if you want to hand it or if you want to throw it, and then it happens to go that way. It's gonna look like you threw it.
Yeah,
so it's better to just not ask that.
The whole thing was, it was a weird moment.
That way.
It was a weird moment, but do we expect anything less from Frandy?
No. So Davon and Bailey were the first ones out. It was really disappointing.
Yeah.
The only highlight of this game is Nicole won $5,000 and traded Davon had a punishment costume where she has to wear a cereal box. I think it was called the Slop-a-tart or something.
No, the Slop-tart, but it says Sloppies on it.
Yeah, so she's wearing a unitard and has to wear a cereal box the whole week. And Nicole used both a way of extending an olive branch again to kind of prove that she is loyal to Davon in the game. And she wanted to prove that she is a good person to everyone else.
She ain't fooling nobody, honey, but thanks for the $5,000.
Good move in the game. I'm sure Davon knows deep down inside that it was a game move more than a personal move.
But it's like, hey, do whatever you want to do.
I mean,
I'll take the money.
Sure, it's an admirable move, even if it's coming from Nicole, but that basically happened. Davon was very touched by it because she was already nominated. She got out first, and then she gets $5,000 handed to her.
Like,
from
at least
Nicole.
I got something.
Yeah.
I can walk away with a little something.
So that's the situation.
I mean,
so
Davon helped Nicole win $500,000. The least you could do is hand her back a $5,000.
And was willing to bury the hatchet on a lot of personal stuff that was said about her.
But I don't know that.
I'm sure it was bad.
Yeah, I think it was bad. I'm just saying, I don't know if I would be willing to bury the hatchet, but I understand you want to play a good game. Maybe you feel like you need to. Mm-hmm. Or she's just a better person than me. I don't know.
So now we can talk about the blow up.
So then, basically, Christmas got the veto and acted like she didn't know what she was going to do with it.
Actually, we need to talk about the veto ceremony. The veto ceremony...
The real veto ceremony or the edited one?
The edited one.
That part.
Basically, Tyler had mentioned to Bailey... Or Bailey had asked Tyler, like, do you want me to say your name? This was still when they were both under the impression that it was going to happen.
Mm-hmm, that he was going to make it happen, and she was going to do a speech, and...
Bailey was basically going to... was asking Tyler, should I say your name, or should I just kind of let you say it afterward? Like, how do you want to do it? And Tyler said, don't say my name. It then got thrown back in her face later by Christmas, but...
She didn't mention his name, though.
Yeah. That was the main situation.
The excuses that aren't real excuses, but whatever.
So the veto isn't used.
Bailey, but not even
Bailey
that.
And
What did they air? What did they air? They aired the
nothing.
veto meeting. I'm not going to use the veto.
And then Bailey said, can we name who your untouchable is? And she said no, and then that was it. Clearly, there's more to that conversation than
there's a lot more to the conversation than the fact that there was a full-on speeches that they didn't
full-on speeches, and it was a lot longer.
They could have edited them. They could have done something. They did nothing. Like, it wasn't even a real veto meeting. It was very awkward. If you were someone that hasn't seen the feeds or anything, you would be so confused. It made no sense. I was like, what? And especially because that's a big part of then the blow up that happened, was a part of the conversation that led to the blow up, was part of what came from, well, in her speech she didn't say his name. How are they going to ever air that part without the fact that there was no speech? So we'll see how that goes. But
so the blow up happens because
after during the Labor Day party that they had, so I do believe alcohol was involved a little bit. People were already a little heated. Then there was that. Then there was everything. So
Davon was called to the diary room, and she went to the bathroom to comb her hair before she went in. And Christmas was in there and basically asked why Bailey did not hug her and why she wasn't talking to her after the veto ceremony.
I don't know,
which should be pretty obvious.
You ruined my game and put me on the block.
And then didn't use the veto.
And then didn't use the veto after you were handed an opportunity to use it for me. You were asked by the person to please do it. You told me you cared about me. I also, before this, even thought we were friends. This whole, like, what do you mean? Of course I have every right to be upset. I would be way more upset than Bailey and Davon acted towards her or even seemed. It would have been a different level if it was me. And the fact that, like, she can't even just say, I need some time, because that's what she said. She said, I just can't hug you right now. I just need some time. She knew for herself. She didn't want to get more upset or cause more of an issue between them. And she was just like, I'm not ready for a hug.
Yeah, it did not come off any malicious intent.
No, so but Christmas was like, what?
Well, let's get
messed up. Me.
Well, let's get through the fight, and then we can talk about all the parts. But just so people know the context of the fight, because I don't know if it's going to be aired in its...
Oh, it will not be aired.
It's not going to be... I don't even know if it's going to be aired.
I don't know. I think they'll glaze over it of, like, maybe, like, when Christmas is mad and then Davon walks by and tells her to F off. Yeah. I think that might be all they show, which will try to make it look like it's more them. Let me just
talk about the
Christmas.
fight. So Davon is in the bathroom, and Christmas asks why Bailey is upset with her, and they get into a conversation about, you know, why they were nominated, how Bailey's feeling, how Davon feels betrayed, not personally from Christmas, but because she feels betrayed on behalf of Bailey, because Bailey felt close to Christmas, almost as close as she does to Davon.
And Christmas played that off like, we don't even talk
which isn't I've seen live feeds, they talked a lot, both personally and about game. And Christmas was never the one to initiate a conversation, which should be even more of a flag in your mind of Bailey wants to work with me, not that she's picking my brain or whatever, which is how she made it sound like.
She's just really trying to pull excuses out her behind to make it okay for what she did when she knows it's kind of not okay.
So then Davon was upset about, and upset is a strong word, more of wanting to understand from Christmas's point of view the hypocrisy that was occurring.
Like, tell me the truth. Tell me the real reason.
Why are you nominating us?
The reason you're giving us is not making sense. I just want to know why. Like, just tell me why.
Wanting to know why you nominated the two of them, and then are saying all this stuff of, oh, you get to compete in a veto. I want to see you guys prosper in this game. Like, I want you to see pictures of your son. Giving that whole spiel alongside of nominating them, not using the veto when presented with opportunity. Davon was trying to understand
with the opportunity, but like begged to do it in a way where everyone could be happy. And she's explaining the House wouldn't understand. Well, Tyler said he was going to explain it, as well as Bailey was going to call out his name in his speech, and then her excuse was, well, Tyler didn't have the meeting, and Bailey didn't say his name, and it's like, well, Tyler told her not to, for one, and for two, I don't know that he ever specified whether the meeting would be before or after the veto.
And I think this was done intentionally so Christmas could say afterwards, oh, it was a communication problem or whatever. So then Christmas uses the excuse of, well, you guys are a duo, and it came straight from Bailey's mouth. And this is what we talked about earlier of why are they labeled as a duo more so than the pre-existing relationships in the house. It was just a cop-out. And it's also a way of Christmas hiding her own alliance. She can say, well, Bailey told me this in confidence, so I'm going to use it. Which, fine, just own it. And she's not owning it.
She's not. She's like, it's not my fault she told me something.
So it's getting heated.
Like,
and
no,
Bailey
she didn't tell you like that.
Bailey enters the kitchen from the diary room.
She hears it starting to get heated to the point where even Christmas says to Davon, I'm getting aggressive, I'm getting upset, I need to calm down. Davon's like, yeah, you do. You're getting a little, like, we're just talking, like, please. And then, you know, cussing starts ensuing, and that's when Bailey comes in. And she basically comes in, she's like, hold on, why are you yelling at Davon and asking about, like, me, basically? Your problem is kind of more with me, like,
so the reason why Christmas and Davon eventually blow up is Davon is saying she came to you with personal game information, and Christmas believes that personal game information is not a thing. And
it's not.
Like,
okay.
why aren't you telling everyone about your alliance? Oh, maybe because that's personal game information. I don't know. But sure, you can say Bailey said it. She maybe shouldn't have said it.
Whatever's going to benefit you and
sure.
your agenda, Miss Halloween.
So that conversation happens, and they both can't agree on that. So Christmas is kind of being...
She's getting, like, worked up.
She's getting rude also. She's saying, like, oh, so let's have a tennis match, Davon, and this isn't your first time playing, and all of these, like, subtle digs that Davon is just kind of, like, you know, letting go, whatever.
This is not it.
So
I'm not falling into this trap.
Davon says, you betrayed her. She has every right to be upset. You don't have a right to...
You mean Bailey? Because Bailey says, I felt...
No, Davon says Christmas betrayed Bailey to Christmas. She said, you betrayed her. And she has every right to be upset. And you exposed the conversation that you and Bailey had in front of everyone. And Christmas is like, well, this is Big Brother. Using that excuse of, oh, well, it's just... that's what I had to do.
Okay,
whatever.
Then why are you mad that she doesn't want to hug you? Then why don't
it's
you
understand? Like, everything's a game.
Understand
that
now that's not your friend anymore.
Clearly, it's hard to separate personal and game because it's blurred.
A beneficial to Christmas's agenda.
Yeah, it's only a game when someone does something fucked up. It's only personal when someone feels as though they got played. Okay, which I don't think the situation. Bailey did get played, but completely different than other people had been played before.
Yeah, it was just
almost
dirty.
Weird.
It was just dirty, and it was just sort of like Bailey and Davon were never going to be coming for Christmas. They weren't going to. They
approached her. They never set up an alliance. They never did anything. Christmas is acting like, oh, we were never in a thing. It's like because you said, or you were at least alluding to the fact that you would always be on the outs. So that's a lie. They did approach
Which
you.
is fine. Play your game.
Which fine. But she's not admitting to any of these things. So
Davon
eventually...
Let's put it this way. Bailey was never going to give you that personal game information
if she didn't trust you.
If she didn't think
and she wasn't extending an olive branch.
Or if she didn't think that, like, we're close enough that I can say that because it doesn't matter. She's not a dumb game player. She's not going to say that knowing that you would use it. She had no idea that was not a confident conversation.
So
Christmas is just...
Davon finally can't deal with the fact that Christmas just won't concede the fact that there is something that she did expose something personal between Bailey. There's only personal in game, like whatever. So Davon says, I'm going to walk away. Christmas said something snarky. Davon just,
She kept it pushing.
She walked out to the backyard and, started ranting to the cameras, ranting to Cody and Tyler.
Really just, like, blowing off steam for herself.
She was, letting out...
A healthy way of letting out her emotions.
Yeah, she was crying and letting out the aggression that she was holding in that conversation. Because it was a long conversation, about, like, 10, 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Of just, constant...
And her trying to be the bigger
trying
person.
to understand Christmas's point of view
when
without
it was like talking to a wall.
Yeah.
A wall that was going to start, like, at you.
So then Bailey's
That's
in
when
there.
Bailey stepped in.
And
right at the time Davon was sort of leaving. And
so
then
then Christmas is like, I need to bring it down. And then Bailey's like, you played me in the game. All I can say is good game. Yeah. Good game move.
And I do think she genuinely meant that. She's like, okay, there's that part. Yeah, you won. Okay, you got that.
And then Christmas was like, oh, well, I don't think you're separating game from personal. And Bailey's like, no, I have.
But to me that was personal.
And then Christmas starts with the, well, I nominated you, and, like, I feel like you are treating me differently. And Bailey immediately cuts that off and says, you cannot play the victim when I'm the one on the block. You're the one in power. You're the one that betrayed me.
The victim
you can't play the victim.
The victim card triggered Christmas. That's when she got to
own your move.
Leave.
Own your move.
And just be like,
you betrayed her. Just say, I betrayed you.
Friends.
Yeah, if Christmas said, I betrayed you, you have every right to be upset with me, I'm not going to play the victim, I made a game move, I would respected her way more than her playing like she, I feel so bad that I nominated you and blah, blah, blah.
I have to do what I have to do.
Not owning her shit.
Like, there's like a knife to her throat, and if she doesn't nominate them, like, you know, like that, she really, like, made it seem like my hands are tied.
Like, I have no choice.
You don't understand. This is life and death. Like, girl, you're not the one nominated. There's bigger targets. Those weren't even people that were against you. You're doing the dirty work for everybody else, and you're getting the heat for it. And I'm sorry, but I don't think she really cared. I think she was playing victim. I don't think she cares that much. She doesn't care that much.
So to finish the fight, so we can finally finish, so then Christmas is like, oh, you don't want to let me finish,
so then
and like whatever,
she turns
and then
around,
she walks
she starts
away,
poking both fingers in Bailey's face, cussing, raising her voice, just like she starts.
And then Bailey's like, no, like I'm not gonna let you do that.
Like she's like, you need to calm down.
And
like,
then
stop.
Christmas says, fuck off. Bailey walks
up to
upstairs,
the HOH room, but
and
she
she's
doesn't
still
go
clapping.
in.
She's still clapping as she's going up. And then Davon comes and brings Bailey to the backyard.
She's like, no, we're not doing that.
And she's like, she betrayed you, and she's mad about it. She's projecting onto you her frustrations of the fact that she doesn't have a clear conscience because she knows she betrayed Bailey. So then Bailey and Davon are talking about.
Meanwhile, Tyler's keying with Cody and just playing.
Well, no,
pool.
Tyler was 100% shitting his pants because Christmas earlier with Davon was saying. About the Tyler situation, Davon was like, oh, you know, we're getting kind of loud about the situation, like, do you want to step into the love room? And Christmas is like, no, like, everyone knows about the situation. She's like, okay, I guess.
Because his name really wasn't pulled up.
Because his name wasn't brought up.
Christmas threw him under the bus.
So.
Because she was just losing her SHIT.
So, that situation happens, and Davon was, you know, ranting about the double standards that her and Bailey have to deal with, and basically said Tyler.
It's a mirror for what we have in the real world, and it's just crazy that they have to be in that small space and deal with it like
the fact
that
they are so in tune about how they're being perceived, and that they have to be thinking about it all the time.
They can't even just play the game. They can't get mad. They can't get emotional because. Oh, there she goes. Now she's blowing up. Told you she was going to blow up. You can't. She's not safe. Watch out. Like, they can't
win in a situation where they get upset.
It's not our place to say because we cannot relate on that level, but it is messed up and it was really upsetting and
frustrating
to watch.
I was getting upset
heated.
And I was getting very.
I just wanted to.
It was sad. It was
just
very
heartbreaking.
Heartbreaking to see two people that can't have a conversation without it blowing up and becoming something else. That it's then labeled on top of, oh, well, it's Davon, so of course she blew up, or it's Bailey, so of course she blew up. They have to constantly check themselves and not be perceived a certain way. And it's annoying that no one else in the game really has to do that.
I mean, what about the felon? Like, do you know what I mean?
Doesn't have to.
She doesn't have to worry about getting in someone's face or raising her voice, even though she should. Of anyone, that should be where the problem lies. I'm sorry, ma'am. You've tried to hurt a person before. I do not feel safe with that. But no, she's white, so she can do that.
If anyone was gonna stab anyone in the middle of the night, I'm assuming it would be Christmas.
I mean, Leg Day would just take her Mercedes and ram it into your Honda, if you know what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm. So
multiple times.
So then Davon is saying, you know, Tyler, I'm sorry to be airing this out, but she said she knew that everyone knew about it, so I'm not gonna be afraid to talk about it then. And Tyler was like,
because now he's back in game
I
mode.
don't think Tyler knew about that because he seemed kind of like
he was like,
what?
Oh shit. No, we don't do that.
And then he tried to play it off like, yeah, everyone knows I've been struggling, but like I don't think they knew to the extent of like he was going to be put up and evicted.
Yeah,
I think they told Kevin, and I'm sure everyone knows by this point.
At this point, yeah, because Kevin probably told Danny,
Danny told Nicole, Nicole told Cody and Ian, and then it just relayed to everyone.
At first, no. In that moment, no. Like
maybe one person knew, but like definitely not everyone.
And I don't think he wanted it to be reminded and brought up regardless.
Especially since Cody and Enzo were outside.
Mm-hmm. And they're like,
and
so our alliance
like,
buddy is like not trying to play. Like, what the hell is it?
Yeah.
I think they wouldn't like that.
So
he didn't want them to know that.
Christmas is in the kitchen being consoled by Danny and
not
Kevin.
even. She was just sitting there huffing and puffing. She came in and she put her cup down and she was like, I'm not gonna be made out to be a bully. Well, she's like, and you're like, whoa.
She's like, so much for Smooth
Halloween,
Big Brother season and
stop.
like, oh,
so
like,
much for keeping it. It's not taking things personally. And then Bailey and Davon came back in.
So
and Christmas was.
Bailey and Davon come in. Davon swung the door open super loud, and Christmas, was like, oh, and then saw them walk to the bathroom. And
then when they
Ian,
walked back by...
Well, hang on. Ian made a comment saying, I hope you're okay, Davon. Like, because Ian, of course, every time there's a fight in the house, Ian has to be either in the shower, in the bathroom, something.
In the wrong
Season 14,
spot.
Willie and Joe going at it. Ian's in his towel, all wet, and he's like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Like, I'm just trying to, change. And now in this season, he gets in the shower right as the blow up starts to happen.
And then
So he says, like, Davon, I hope you're okay. As Bailey and Davon are walking out, Davon said something about, like, oh, Christmas gets to raise her voice and something. So then Ian said, oh, I hope you're okay. Davon said, I'm okay, Ian, thank you.
Yeah.
And
clearly
Christmas
still
says,
upset and not really trying to talk to
as she's walking by Christmas, and Christmas says, oh, here we
go. Yep, there
and
it is.
Davon tells her to shut the fuck up.
Yeah, she finally did. But you know what? She had every right to. She had a right to do long before that. In that moment, for sure. She's just like, listen, just shut the fuck up.
And as they were in the bathroom,
and she was
Kevin...
like, I will not shut the fuck up. This is my house, too. I can say what I want. I didn't run up to my HOH room and hide.
I'm not hiding.
I'm here right now.
Mm-hmm.
And
completely instigating
and Davon's just like, shut the fuck up. Just shut the fuck up. She was like, you wanted to provoke me? Well, guess what? I'm provoked. And Bailey's just like... And, even then, Davon's still like... That was the extent of her being upset versus...
Not even close to
Christmas or what she deserves or could be upset about. And Bailey was just like, stop.
Bailey and Davon...
She was like, Bailey literally said to Christmas, she was like, why you gotta do that? Why are you poking at her? She's like, I didn't poke at her. Like, trying to act like she didn't say what she said under her breath that everyone heard. Like, she's trying to act like, I was just sitting here. You walked by and no, you made a snarky comment when someone was upset that had a problem with you. And then you wanted to be, what? You want to play victim that she got mad about it? Like, get out of here. Just leave it alone.
Well,
just leave it alone.
Hang on 1 second.
Let her be mad. She's allowed to be mad.
Christmas was sitting in the kitchen. Kevin said, do you want to go to the HOH room? And she said, no, absolutely not. This is my house. I can do whatever the fuck I want.
Mm-hmm, yep.
And
F-bomb. Like, she was... The roid rage had built.
She was
spilling over.
She was pouring gasoline onto a fire that Bailey and Davon were trying to put out. And Davon and Bailey, when they walked into the house, said nothing to her.
Nope, they weren't even like really talking to each other. They were just trying to
Christmas has to jump in and continue the fight. Cody comes in. Cody comes back in from the backyard and
why
is like,
the bear mad at me?
Cody came in from the backyard and wanted to remove Christmas from the situation.
Just to help de-escalate it.
And of course,
as well.
I'm not going to go anywhere. I'm going to sit in the kitchen.
I can stay wherever the fuck I want to stay.
Like, okay.
And like even looked over at Danny, and Danny, who likes to be a messy McMessington or whatever, she was not having, like, she was kind of like,
she was like, why are
like, she was sitting there like, this bitch is crazy.
So that's the extent.
Why she's the next girl I want to go besides those two.
Like, that's the extent of the
fight. And it was just, the whole thing is just wrong. It's just messed up. It's just a lot. The fact that it wasn't aired correctly, we knew would happen. But I hope that they'd be a little bit more respectful to the true hypocrisy or just damage that was done on a personal level, and they didn't. They glazed over that. And I'm not gonna not talk about it. It needs to be talked about. If at least me and a couple other people put that voice out there and let it be known to the people who are casual watchers and don't watch the feeds and don't know, I'm gonna let you know. Tai did this, Leg Day did this, and then take it for what you will, because it's gonna be what it's gonna be. And you know what? At the end of the day, David's messy ass might win this whole dang thing, and I wouldn't be mad about it, because there's 2020 for you. Mm-hmm. Throw away your all-stars. Have the newbie win. Mm-hmm. The newbie that doesn't even know what he's playing win.
Yeah. So the last thing that we wanted to address was Cody finding out the news that his grandfather passed away.
Yeah, so our condolences, obviously,
to
his
Cody
family. And his family.
And
don't wish loss on nobody.
The fact
Christmas
that another
someone,
person...
I would still say sorry to her.
Yeah. I don't think anyone hearing that type of news. Personally, for me, the first time I ever saw someone in the game hearing about outside news was season 2 when 9/11 happened. They all pulled them in and said there's been a terrorist attack. They didn't know the full extent of it until Monica was told that one of her family members was in the World Trade Center.
And they said that they didn't have any, they didn't know.
They didn't have anything to go off of. They don't have any images in their head of like anything. They didn't even know it was the World Trade Center. They just said there was a terrorist attack in New York, and that's all they knew. They didn't realize 2 planes took out both of the towers, and they really only found that out later when they were like, no, they need to know like more
what
details.
Really happened, because
and Monica was getting called in from the diary room of them saying, you know, they can't find him right now. It doesn't mean that he's necessarily gone. He ended up passing away or not being found. But she was being pulled in periodically because of how big that event was.
Yeah, and how it was so big that they didn't have all the answers, but they still needed to tell her something. So it was like it was touch and go. And that was crazy.
The only other times I can really remember outside information being told was season 16 with Frankie and Derek both losing their grandfathers within a few days of each other.
They were informed.
And I think it's kind of weird that
Cody... the other outside information was Frankie was informed about Ariana going to be doing the VMAs or something. He was informed about something small like that.
Because he won HOH a lot. I think it might have been fed in a letter or something.
Something like that. But that would, other than that, like, nothing. No,
or it was something of like, oh, play her song, like, this day if she's like in the VMAs, and they did. So it was like an unspoken.
It might have been something. I can't remember, but it was. I mean, the whole house didn't know, but he was informed slightly because it's a big deal, I guess.
And I think
not a big deal in retrospect to family loss or terrorist attacks, but a big deal in that realm.
And it's kind of fucked up that Cody is from season 16 also.
Yeah, it's kind of like, ooh, that's is there like a. What is it?
It's like a weird like omen on season 16, but
don't go back on.
I feel so terrible for Cody because dealing with a loss in the real world
is hard enough.
Let alone not being able to go to the services. I don't even know if they can have services right now with the situation.
He doesn't believe in it, but COVID is happening, so.
But well, that's we don't. But
I'm just saying so. That is an issue, and that who knows if he could even go if he was out, but he could be with other family that he lives with at least.
He could talk with people.
There's nothing he can do right now.
He really can't. He's still playing a game. There's still people talking about getting rid of Cody because you have to. It's a game. Like you can take a minute and give him space, let him do his thing, but at the end of the day, it's not a pass to like, oh well, this happened, they deserve to stay. Because at the end of the day, it's who plays the best game and who's the biggest threat. They did this on season 2 where Krista, who was, not very wealthy, was on the block and was almost like people were feeling so terribly because they wanted her to win because of her situation. And she was saying to people, she
didn't want that pity.
Don't keep me here because I deserve the money more than you guys.
Keep me here
if it's good for your game, which I think is, the ultimate thing about Big Brother. Obviously, you can make your own decision. That's the beauty of the game, but... Or the beast of the game, Yeah, so...
you want to spin it, look at it.
I haven't checked feeds. I will check feeds to see how the situation is going.
But he has been informed, and...
Yeah. Because we found out,
before he was informed. He had
2 days ago, right? Last night?
So. Yeah.
And then he was just informed yesterday.
I think last night, yeah.
Yeah, so
it's very recent.
That's the last thing.
New. Our condolences, and that's rough. I mean, if things are not on a positive note in the house, as far
I think this kind of also helps smooth things over with everyone else.
Yeah, because it brings you back to the reality of life.
Mm-hmm. But it's very similar to the situation in season 9 when both Allison, I believe her name is, and Amanda had reactions to the slop, where Amanda had a big fight that was very nasty, some of the nastiest comments I've heard to her about her family. that situation kind of brought people into perspective of, we've been targeting this girl and like bullying this girl, and this thing just happened. We just need to squash that, because we're all living our lives. We all have things that happen on the outside world, and at the end of the day, we only have each other in this house to go off of.
So, I mean, you can still evict someone, you can still whatever, but you just don't have to be an ASS to them. Mm-hmm. And that's that. But
so that's all we wanted to talk about. That was week 4. We'll talk about the eviction. We agree to
disagree a little bit on the Tyler Christmas thing. I personally think that what he did is like an unforgivable thing, bringing up the movement and those sorts of things. So I don't know about his true intentions behind the whole situation. So personally, that's upsetting for me.
And for me personally, I would like to believe that he is being genuine and he just went about it the wrong way, knowing he should have known to talk about that before addressing the deal with Christmas and production. Should have never given them false hope if he didn't know 100% that he could do it. And he still couldn't know 100% because he's, at the end of the day, not the one
until you're walking
doing
out the door. And I just think that, I don't know. Yeah, I think Tyler's a good game player.
Yeah,
from
just
his
not
season,
a good person.
From his season, I just have never, he sat wrong with me, and he has continued to, I thought he was coming, he was giving it back. I was like, oh, okay, I'll give it to him, I kind of like him. And then it was like, no, I don't. And then now it's like,
he kind of comes
no, I don't. And I'm like, it's going to not be pretty when you get out, because that's not going to be taken lightly. Because it's not something to be taken lightly, and he should have never brought it up.
It's not going to be good for Danny, Christmas, Nicole, and now Tyler.
All that.
For all of them when they get out of the
with
house.
The climate of the world and where we're at, I mean, anything in general, but particularly now, it's going to be a different kind of awakening. We need to mention
the comments being said about Ian. Still, even after he's had conversations personally about the bullying that he endured on season 14, people like Memphis
are still being ignorant
about him.
In Memphis, you are hot, but you need to sit down and shut your mouth, because all you got is your looks.
He has been the only one. He has made comments about everyone. He's made comments about Davon being aggressive, pushing that narrative of the aggressive, the loud, the pushy black woman, pushing the disability. In ignorance.
I'm amazed that this is what these people are choosing to do, knowing the climate we're in, having been on this show before, knowing that they are being filmed 24/7. Yes, they want to cut the feeds all the time, but we get the gist of it.
Even after being informed by Ian, even after being informed by Ian about the bullying and how much it affected him, they still can't wrap their minds around being nice and being understanding.
They can't even hide it. You know what I'm saying? Like, you could still be a bad person, but, like, maybe be smart enough not to do it, in front of other people.
Yeah.
They can't even not. So what are they doing behind people's backs? Mm-hmm. Honey, don't come back, because the only person that can come back and keep a good reputation and still be loved is Janelle. And jealousy is real, and it's still there. And
I don't want to say that Ian has a disability. I don't know the right term. I will just say that he has autism.
And he's been
I don't want to make it seem like it's a negative thing. But I just think that it is rude of the house guests to know that information. Season 14, they didn't know. Mm-hmm. And they were making fun of him, which still isn't right. But even after you know the information, you still are doing it. Even more fucked up, in my opinion.
Yeah. What is you doing, baby
girl?
He
is a grown man that you are making fun of. Not even to his face. Yeah. Don't even have the balls to say it to him. To behind his back, like... Enzo was doing it the other night, saying, oh, that kid, I love him, but, like, man, he's just, like, I don't know. And, like, it's all having to do with, like, his little mannerisms that come from that. And it's not clicking in their minds.
I mean, there's a lot. There's been a lot of blatant racism and bigotry, and it's just, like, okay.
Even coming after the heels of... one of the worst seasons, and in good terms of that, it's still happening, and it's from All Stars, who should know better.
Should know better regardless. A lot of them are older too, so it's like you're not 21 coming out of being raised in a home that's like that, and maybe not completely knowing better and going off. And you're a grown ass person raising little people, and in a world that is. We've talked about it enough in this world. Mm-hmm. We know. Shame on you. But, we'll continue to see what happens in this season.
I hope that the behavior changes. I don't think it will because they aren't getting any feedback.
I feel like it's only going to get worse, but we'll see.
So that's the week 4 recap. We'll talk about the eviction in another episode, or maybe this episode will include a part. But
yeah, that's that.
That's our thoughts, and thank you. Thank you for watching.
Like, comment, share, and subscribe.